Gansu Kindergarten lead poisoning scandal. 6 arrested, investigation underway. A scandal is rocking a Gansu kindergarten after shocking revelations of dangerous lead contamination, putting hundreds of children's health at risk and igniting a furious debate over food safety and government oversight in China. Could what happened here signal deeper systemic issues? Let's dive into the details to see why this case is stirring such strong emotions and what remains to be answered. According to an official government report, meals served to young children at Peixin Kindergarten in the Meiji district of Tianshui City, Gansu Province, were found to contain lead levels that exceeded legal safety standards by a staggering margin. The discovery came after an illegal use of food additives triggered a wave of abnormal blood lead tests in children, sparking both national outrage and an urgent response from authorities. Here's the controversial part. 6 people have already been detained and another 17 are under investigation, but many are asking, shouldn't the systemic problems in oversight and enforcement also be on trial? Among those held accountable are high-ranking officials, the director of the Gansu Provincial Health Commission, the director of the Provincial Bureau for Disease Control, the mayors and party chiefs of the city and district, and numerous local department heads. 10 government officials in total have been stripped of responsibility, raising questions about how deep this negligence goes. To address the situation, a joint team of provincial leaders and experts from the National Ministry of Ecology and Environment and the National Health Commission descended on the scene on July 12. Their investigation focused on abnormal blood lead levels found in children attending Hashur Peixin Kindergarten. The scope of the problem is significant. By midday Sunday, all 247 children with abnormal blood lead readings had begun some form of treatment, ranging from hospital care to nutritional therapy at home. Out of 235 hospitalized kids, 234 have already completed their initial course of care and returned home. Encouragingly, experts report that the average blood lead level among the affected children has dropped by over 40% after treatment, suggesting medical interventions are working as hoped. But here's what most people might overlook. Internal records reveal that government oversight failed spectacularly at multiple levels. Routine inspections of food safety at the kindergarten were little more than paperwork, failing to catch illicit use of hazardous additives. The investigation found that some education officials allegedly accepted benefits from the investor of the kindergarten, a Mr. Lee, casting a harsh light on corruption within the system. Further deepening the scandal, the laboratory team at the Second People's Hospital of Tianshui, tasked with conducting emergency blood lead testing, not only bypassed official procedures, leading to grossly inaccurate results, but then went on to illegally alter laboratory data. They even tried to block or evade the investigation, according to the released report. This raises a pointed question. If those responsible for protecting children's health are themselves undermining the process, who can families trust? To restore trust and bolster medical care, Gansu Provincial Hospital is now taking over full management of the Second People's Hospital. 36 top-tier experts, spanning pediatrics, toxicology, mental health and diagnostic testing, are being deployed, armed with state-of-the-art domestic equipment to ensure rapid and reliable blood lead analysis in the future. The immediate source of the contamination? Investigators concluded that the kindergarten had purchased brightly colored pigment powders online, specifically red, yellow and green, and mixed them into flour to create corn rolls and tricolored red date cakes. Testing found these foods contained exceptionally high concentrations of lead, 1,340 milligrams per kilogram in corn rolls and 1,052 milligrams per kilogram in the cakes. To put these figures in perspective, such levels can severely harm children's developing brains and bodies, leading to long-term cognitive and health problems, a fact that's bound to alarm any parent. Environmental assessments looked for broader contamination by testing nearby soil and water. In a rare bit of good news, all samples taken from the kindergarten's surroundings met national standards, indicating the contamination stemmed directly from tainted food, rather than environmental pollution. Here's another eye-opening statistic. Of 251 children and 34 staff who underwent blood lead tests, 247 children and 28 staff were found to have elevated lead levels. This suggests that nearly everyone consuming kindergarten meals was exposed, not just a small, isolated group. Officials are responding with promises of a thorough cleanup. In addition to the criminal and disciplinary probes, Authorities have pledged to overhaul daily food safety monitoring in schools and to target health sector irregularities for special review and rectification. And this is the part that invites fierce debate. Is stricter supervision enough? Or does this incident reveal flaws so deep that only a total reform of food safety, educational management, and medical oversight will suffice? Some may argue that this case is the result of a few bad actors, while others will point to persistent patterns of neglect and corruption that demand a more radical response. Where do you stand? Is this a one-off tragedy, or a sign of a much bigger crisis beneath the surface? Do you believe enough has been done? Or is this just the tip of the iceberg? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. This is a conversation that affects every family. Lead poisoning scandal in China. A cover-up exposed. A recent scandal in China has exposed a troubling truth. Despite advancements, the urge to hide problems remains strong. In a small northern city, over 200 families now face a daunting challenge: determining whether their children have been harmed by lead poisoning. Some parents notice persistent symptoms like stomach pain, prompting urgent action. When they took their kids to a local hospital, test results were deemed normal. However, after seeking a second opinion in a neighboring province, doctors found alarming levels, up to 40 times higher than safe limits in one case. This revelation sparked outrage, revealing a systemic failure in transparency. The crisis in Tianshui, Gansu Province, finally broke open this month. On July 8, authorities confirmed that a kindergarten had used non-edible paint in its pastries, affecting 233 out of 251 children. 8 individuals were arrested in connection to the case. Yet, the public's frustration grew, demanding more accountability. Over the weekend, the provincial government announced a broader investigation, involving top officials and a state council task force. This escalation highlights a recurring flaw in systems where political performance overshadows public welfare. But here's where it gets controversial. The Tianshui government could have handled this crisis responsibly. Instead, local officials allegedly tried to downplay the issue, hoping to avoid media scrutiny and internal notice. This pattern reflects a deeper issue: when power is prioritized over people's safety. What does this say about our systems and the balance between accountability and political priorities? The answer may lie in how we choose to address such failures in the future. China lead poisoning scandal. Officials under investigation. The alarming truth about lead poisoning in China. Recent investigations have uncovered a troubling scandal where officials from a provincial disease control agency and a local hospital appear to have tampered with critical health test results. This disturbing revelation insists that for too long, leaders have overlooked essential safety protocols, leading to dangerous consequences for children's health. In the northwest province of Gansu, 10 officials are now facing scrutiny following an investigation that exposed their role in manipulating tests, linked to a widespread lead poisoning crisis affecting children in kindergartens. Just under 2 weeks ago, law enforcement in Tianshui City apprehended 8 individuals connected to this shocking situation, where over 200 kindergartners were found to have dangerously elevated lead levels in their blood. The gravity of this incident has sent ripples of concern across the nation, sparking outrage and calls for accountability. A report released by the provincial government on Sunday revealed disturbing findings about the conduct of the Gansu Provincial Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the Tianshui Second People's Hospital. Allegations indicate that these entities engaged in altering testing protocols and results for children attending Peixin Kindergarten, compromising their health and safety. Among those under scrutiny are prominent figures, including Zhang Hao, the Communist Party chief of the Gansu Health Commission, and various other officials, such as the director of the Provincial Disease Control Bureau, Gan Xiaozhou, and Tianshui's Municipal Party Committee Secretary, Feng Wenj, along with Tianshui Mayor Lu Lijiang. The report notes that higher-ups in the provincial government expressed profound sadness over the situation and extended their heartfelt apologies to the affected children and their families, demonstrating a level of accountability rarely seen in such cases. Moreover, the local government has vowed to provide free medical treatment to the children impacted by this scandal, as well as reimburse any healthcare expenses incurred beyond the city limits. But here's where it gets controversial. Should the accountability of these officials and the institutions they represent extend beyond mere apologies? How can we ensure that incidents like this are prevented in the future? It poses a significant question of trust in public health systems and the ethical responsibilities of those in power. Many might argue that such blatant neglect of duty warrants severe consequences, while others could contend that systemic issues need to be addressed rather than focusing solely on individual blame. What do you think? Join the discussion below. How much responsibility should fall on the institutions versus the individuals? Your thoughts matter.